All right. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for spending your lunchtime on Friday with us. Today, we're going to talk about the essentials for new teachers. And this is part 2 of the new teacher series that we're presenting on. We have several series throughout the year. So our next one is collaboration with different providers in the school environment. So stay tuned for our information about that. But my name is Melinda Luna, and I am a facilitator with the LASARD project. For those of you unfamiliar with LASARD, it stands for Louisiana Autism Spectrum and Related Disabilities Project. We are affiliated with the Human Development Center at LSU Health and Science Center in New Orleans. We are a multidisciplinary team of special education teachers, school administrators, school psychologists, OTs, BCBAs, and more. We partner with school districts, systems, and networks and individual schools throughout the state to help them improve their practices in special education. So this is our team. We have 2 new hires at the bottom, so we don't have a full group picture yet, but welcome to the team, Tracy and Maya. And if you haven't been on our website yet, you are missing out because we have many free online resources that you can download, and you're going to see many of those visuals today throughout this presentation. So make sure you visit our website after today to get access to those. And this is one that's pretty new to our website. It's different visual icons. So I just want to make sure that I pointed that out to you because you can use this with schedules, with reinforcement systems, just anything that you need to break down for the student. So that is on our website. And we also have a Google folder with a preference inventory, something we're going to talk about a little bit, and some strategy guides on the different evidence-based practices that we're going to talk about. So Lisa's going to share that link in the chat box throughout today's presentation, but this is a QR code if you want to scan it for a moment and reference it whenever we get to that point. All right, so why are you here today? What's the big idea? Implementation of essential support strategies produces positive incomes for all students, and not just students, all individuals, all adults. We all use these essential support strategies, and they're proven effective as positive preventative strategies as well. So you want to use these strategies before those interfering behaviors in the classroom actually start. So what are they? The first one, visual supports. Just like you provide those visuals in the classroom, we as adults use them on a daily basis. When we're going to a new grocery store, we may look for those labels on the aisles. Stop sign when we're driving. When we're going to a fast food restaurant, we look for those boundaries so we know where to turn so we don't get into an accident. Our handy shopping list when we go to the store so we don't forget anything. Maps on our phone or in our car. Sticky notes. I know I have a million sticky notes all over my desk and my house just as that visual reminder of what I need to do. And of course, our calendars just to keep us organized so we know where we need to go and where we need to be. Priming is another essential support, and we're going to talk about what that actually means, but in simple terms, it's just preparing yourself for a difficult situation. When a hurricane is coming, we prime ourselves by watching the weather or, of course, watching all of the posts on social media to keep us up to date. I myself, I'm a very picky eater, so anytime I go to a new restaurant, I always prime myself by going to their website beforehand to see what I'm going to eat whenever I go there. Communication. There's so many different forms of communication that we use on a daily basis, whether it's text message or whether it's using emojis to express how we feel. That's just another visual that you can use. I mean, students do it in the classroom with different emotion pictures. We use it through emojis. Reinforcement. What motivates you? If you follow us on social media, we have Feedback Fridays and we often highlight teachers. So is that positive praise or that recognition, is that motivating to a person? Or of course, the paycheck. Why are you at work today? Because you're getting reinforced for it. You're getting a paycheck. So it's what is the payoff for what you're doing? And then that last essential support strategy is home base, your comfort zone. Where do you go to calm down, to regroup, to de-escalate after a situation that may have caused you some stress? So those are the 5 essential support strategies, and a very quick overview as far as like how we use them in real life as adults. So now we're going to get into how to use these strategies in the classroom using all of the amazing resources on our website. I have many slides, probably way more than I should have, but I wanted to make sure that you have all of the information you need to leave this webinar today to implement these strategies in the classroom. So first up, we have visual supports. And visual supports are any information, any materials that illustrate information, facilitate transitions, convey expectations, and provide that understanding and predictability. There are 3 types of visual supports. We have visual boundaries, visual schedules, and visual cues. So visual boundaries answer several questions, right? Where do I sit? What is off limits? Where do I go? What is available? And it's just a matter of setting up that designated area in a visual way. So you can do that by putting tape on tables in your classroom just to show the student their area to work in. You can put it on the floor to show them where they need to sit. You can make a sensory area in your classroom. So if you have that student that likes to pace, you can mark off that area that it's safe to pace, where they're not distracting the other students around the classroom. And then also, what's off limits? You don't want the students to come by your desk, so that's when you would use that boundary to block it off. Visual schedules is the next type of visual support, and that is simply a tool that provides a child with information about the sequence of events that's set to occur. So it answers those questions: what's next? Are there any changes? When is the break? How long is this class? Now, there are different types of visual schedules that you can use. The first one, in addition to the class visual schedule that everybody should have, some students need a more specific schedule that meets their needs. So you want to use an individual daily schedule. So on our in our resource page or on our website, we have this to do all done. So that's just simply breaking down their day step by step. I need to do this and then I'm all done. I need to do my morning job and then I'm all done. Or you can do something like the next picture where it's a full daily schedule and then you can check off, or for this student, we put her favorite icon every time that task was completed or that activity was over. First then is another schedule. And this is probably the simplest form of schedule, and you can use it for all ages. It just may look very different whether you're using pictures or text, but it just reminds the student what they're working for. It increases their motivation to complete that non-preferred task. And it doesn't have to be fancy. You can pull out an index card and make a first then schedule. But for this particular one, it shows when the timer rings, then iPad time is over, because a lot of students really struggle with that transition from a preferred activity. On our website, we also have a first, next, then schedule. So if you want to expand that first, then schedule to hopefully graduate to a more complex schedule like the daily schedule. Then you have activity schedules, and this breaks down the task into steps. It helps the student pace themselves, it promotes independence, and my favorite, it shows them that there is an end in sight. I know sometimes morning meeting for these students may seem like forever, but if they can actually see step by step of what they have to do, you're able to manage those expectations and they will understand when that activity will be over. So here are just 2 examples, again, that you can find on our website. One is just breaking down the task of writing their homework in the agenda, and then they would check off each step. And then another one, you could break down the steps of a dismissal routine. We also have 2 other schedules on our website that you can download, a weekly schedule. So you can use this to help the student learn like when they have their enrichment classes, since that's different every single day, or even a high school, because some high schools have A days and B days. And we also have a monthly schedule template that you can print. And that way you can note when is fall break, when is the Halloween party, when is early dismissal for exams. So that way the student knows what to expect in the coming weeks. Transitions. So we want to use those visual schedules to help with transitions, but you also have different strategies that you can use as well. Now, when thinking about a transition in the classroom with a student, it's any change within an activity from one activity to another, from one environment to another, or an unexpected event, such as a fire drill. So when you think about these transitions, it requires you to stop what you're doing, begin something new, and then move from one location to another. And that can be very challenging for some students. So when you can, I know you always can't do that because you may have that unexpected fire drill, you want to try and prepare those moments as much as you can. And you can do that by using transition cues. And that helps the student know a specific start and end time, and you can pair it with a visual schedule. So if they're really not feeling it in math class and they want to leave, you can show them, okay, we're almost done math class. You can move your little arrow to the yellow, and then whenever math class is over, you would move it to stop and show them they don't have to do any more work. They can pack up and go to the next class or the next activity. So this is on our website. We also have a 5-minute timer, just because oftentimes during our coaching sessions, we hear teachers say 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. But I don't know if these students really understand how long 5 minutes actually lasts. So again, taking that arrow and moving it down to show them how long they have left. The example on the right, that is from the website Online Stopwatch Timer, and they have many class-wide visual timers that you can use. We see a lot of teachers use timers, but digital timers in the classroom. They don't pair it with that visual. So that's one big takeaway I want you to leave with today. Always try and pair it with something visual when it comes to a timer, just so the student can actually see their time dwindling down. You can also use timer apps if you have any tablets in the classroom. This is one that I absolutely love, and I use it in many coaching sessions and with my own son. It's called the Children's Countdown Timer. They have a free version on the App Store. And this is what the icon looks like. It's a rubber duck, but don't let the rubber duck fool you, because you can choose different backgrounds so it's age appropriate for everybody. And you can also upload a picture from your photo album. So just this week I was in a school and the student really wanted this game on his iPad. So that I took the picture of the iPad in the moment, uploaded it, and that way he could see what he was working for whenever the timer was all done. All right, so in a very quick nutshell, that is the visual supports. So we are going to move on to priming. And again, that is just exposure to information or activities before it actually occurs. And it's something that you know your student's going to have difficulty with. We know students struggle with changes. So you can use a change alert card. This is on our website. Instead of going to outdoor recess today because of the weather, we're going to stay inside for indoor recess. There are very simple steps when it comes to priming. First, you need to determine when to do it. Often you want to do it first thing in the morning before the day really gets started with the student. Identify who needs to lead the activity. So it could be a teacher or para or even another student in the classroom. Where priming should occur. Gather the materials that you need for priming, and then review the priming materials with the student. So these are just some general priming strategies that you can use. You want to review their schedule at the beginning of the day, noting any changes, reviewing rules and expectations before going into a new environment, reviewing tools and strategies for self-management, preparing them for any upcoming activity, and then have parents prime them at home. If you know that the student struggles with not going outside for recess, and the parents can obviously see that the weather is going to be bad that day, that's when the parent could talk to their child that morning to kind of get a head start on the priming before they get to school. So I have a few quick videos of priming examples. This is one that a teacher made in Ascension Parish on why we can't play outside at school today.
Oh no! It's cloudy! I see puddles! Ew! Oh no! We can't play outside today! It's too wet! Ew! Oh no! We don't get to play outside today, but that's okay, because we're gonna go inside and we are gonna have a dance party. So we're gonna go noodle, we're gonna shake it, and we're gonna have so much fun because it's too yucky outside today. Okay? Let's go have some fun.
That's one example. This is another, just reviewing the morning, reviewing his daily schedule during morning meeting.
All right, did you get out of the car?
Yes.
Did you walk into school?
Yes.
Did you I hold the surprise box, but that's okay because I don't want the lid to come off. Did you grab your breakfast?
Yes.
Now it's time for what?
To open the surprise.
All right. What's in it? What is that? The ones you were working on yesterday. Now you have a choice. Do you want to work on this one, the Lego movie one, or this one?
This one.
Okay.
And then finally, you can also prime for class participation just by giving the student a heads up. The teacher's going to call on you to answer this question, and so they're prepared to answer.
Listen, whenever we go to the carpet, Miss Monte is going to ask you to raise your hand and answer a question. Yeah, she's going to ask you what this was about. And you already told me that you knew it was about weathering. Nice job. So whenever she calls on you, you can raise your hand and you can say, weathering. Nice job, my friend.
And both of those last two videos are from St. Charles Parish. All right, so next we have communication strategies. The importance of communication is that all people can and do communicate. It allows people to exercise control over their lives and environments. It just may look a little different as far as how everybody communicates. So there are 4 components of communication: the who, the how, the what, and the why. And just because of timing of this webinar, we're just going to focus on the how and the what today. So how, how should I communicate? As I mentioned, there are many different forms of communication, but you can use visuals to help students communicate in the classroom. These are a few visual cards that we have on our website that you can download. If the student needs help, they can use a help cue card by holding it up or pointing to it or bringing it to you. You can use a help no, yes, no communication card because there's so many questions that you can ask where the student can respond yes or no. They can request a break. We have a feelings communication board, so that way the student can convey how they're feeling, and this is something that could go in your safe area in the classroom. We have some learning participation boards. So if you're working on assessing knowledge, whether it's colors or letters, and the student can't verbalize these things, they could use this board to point. And we also have communication scripts. So that way you're giving the student the phrase to say and you're pairing it with a visual so they can hopefully memorize this and use it across situations. So what do you talk about? Students need something to talk about, right? If you don't give them a topic, who knows what they're going to talk about in different unstructured activities. So you want to find out what the peers are talking about, what's age appropriate. You want to build on the student's strengths and special interests. Think about those shared activities that they can engage in and also interesting experiences. So these are on our website. We have a snack chat for lower elementary students and the lunch chat for upper elementary, middle, and high. And it does just that. It gives the students something to talk about. For those younger students, you can give them pictures. So think about an experience when you went to the zoo recently, or maybe you watched a movie and they had zoo animals. And the lunch chat, this is just another way to kind of structure those conversations. So you can ask a friend these questions. What about you? What do you like to do in your free time? And then some would you rather questions. Just something fun just to get the conversation started. All right, next we have reinforcement. And again, it's why we do what we do. Most of you, you're working right now because you're going to get a paycheck. That is our payoff. So reinforcement is simply used to teach target skills and increase desired behaviors in the school setting. It's typically delivered after behavior and increases the likelihood that the behavior will happen again. So when you really use or implement reinforcement with fidelity, you're going to reduce challenging behavior from occurring in the classroom. You're going to work on teaching target skills in different areas. You're going to keep those students motivated and engaged because they want the payoff. They want what they're working for. And then it's also going to increase appropriate behavior. So how is it done? There are two types of reinforcement strategies that we're going to talk about today: positive reinforcement and then a token economy system. So positive reinforcement, you're giving the reinforcer each time the student uses or demonstrates that target skill or behavior. You may have a different variety of reinforcers that the student's working for. You want to use this reinforcement strategy across settings, and then fade reinforcers when the student demonstrates mastery in this skill. And that's when you may want to graduate to a token economy, which we're going to talk about next. So for this particular example, so first they need to clean up. As soon as they clean up, even if it's one toy, they could get one goldfish. And that way they're pairing, oh, I do this non-preferred task, then I get something I really want. So the other type of positive reinforcement system is the token economy. And for this, the student is earning tokens each time, or a token, each time the skill or behavior is displayed. You want to provide choices that the student can choose from as far as what they want to work for. You want to change up the reinforcers just to keep their interest, because at a certain point, they may be over playing with dinosaurs every single day. So what's your plan B and your plan C of things that they can earn? You want to make sure that you use these reinforcers across settings, not just the classroom. If you're implementing this system, it needs to be implemented in the cafeteria, outdoors for recess. And again, it depends on what that skill actually is that you're focusing on. And then, like anything, you always want to fade reinforcers, and you can do that by increasing the tokens, right? So for this particular example, the student just needs to earn 3 tokens, and then they get their goldfish, or they get to play with their dinosaurs. But after they master this rather quickly, then they can graduate to 5 tokens and 10 tokens and 20 tokens. So it's a little bit more challenging to earn their reinforcer, but you're also increasing demonstration of that target skill. So those token boards are on our website, and we also have some other class-wide reinforcement systems that you can use. The first one, some puzzle boards, right? So we have lower elementary ones, karaoke, charades, exercise videos, and for some of the older kids, again, you want to think about how you can incorporate technology, because that's something that is interesting for older kids. This is just a picture of animals, and maybe they can go to YouTube and watch their favorite animal video. So how this works, if the class as a whole demonstrates those classroom expectations, they would earn a puzzle piece. And whenever they earn all 6 puzzle pieces to make up the full board, then the whole class would receive that class-wide reinforcement. So going back to supporting that individual student, what if you don't know what they're willing to work for? Because for some of those students who have limited verbal skills, they can't tell you. So that's when you need to do some investigation work. So you could do a preference assessment, and that helps determine what motivates the student. You could ask the student if they can respond. You can ask previous teachers, family members, and you want to try and get more than one thing in your reinforcer bank. This is something that is in that Google folder, a preference assessment questionnaire. So if you don't even know where to start, you can send this home and have the family member complete it and send it back to you. So that way it gives you an idea, like, oh, they love Ruffles potato chips. They love balloons. They love animal stickers. And you want to ask your family members to try and be as specific as possible, just because if they check off everything for edibles, which we've had family members do, that really doesn't give us a good idea of where to start. So you do have access to this in that Google folder. All right, and our last strategy is home base. And again, that is that designated place where you can go to regain control during times of high anxiety or stress. You want to use this strategy as a proactive strategy. You don't want to use it after a meltdown occurs, because at that point, they're not going to learn anything from how to effectively use this strategy. And it is not a timeout. Again, whenever you see those signs that their behavior is about to escalate, that's when you may want to guide them over there and then follow the steps of what to do when you're in the safe area, because it shouldn't just be a play area or a timeout. So for your safe area, you just want to make sure that you have a place in your room where the student can take a break. It doesn't have to be all cute and cozy. Again, you want to think about the age of the students that you're working with, but you just want to make sure that it's functional. It has everything that the students need to de-escalate after that incident that may have occurred. So there are steps that you want to think about. So whenever they go over to the safe area, you want to set a timer. You want to make sure that it's structured. You want to have them pick a calming strategy, identify how they're feeling whenever they're ready, talk to an adult about how they're feeling, and then return to that classroom activity. So as far as picking a calming strategy, these are 2 examples that we have on our website: a deep breath rainbow, so they can use their finger to trace, and then just a grounding exercise for some of those older individuals. To help them identify a feeling, we have those feeling communication boards on our website that you can download. So that way, if they can't tell you, or if they're not in the right state of mind to convey that, they can use this board to hopefully help relay that by pointing. Talk to an adult. So this is a modified version of a social autopsy, and a social autopsy helps the student understand what happened, right? And this form really helps you facilitate that conversation in an effective way. So they can use pictures to help express what happened, who was hurt, how did that make you feel, what should you do now, and what should you do next time. So these are on our website. We have one for lower elementary students with more youngish kids. And then we have this pretty general one for older individuals that still focuses on the same thing. And then returning to the class activity. This is probably the most challenging part when going to home base, just because they're not working in this home base area, right? So it's a break from class, but we need to get them back. So you want to think about those transition strategies that we talked about. The priming, you have 2 more minutes and then it's time to go back to class. Set that visual timer, use that visual countdown, have that verse then schedule handy. Maybe they need a transition object that they can bring back to their back to their desk. And then also offer choice making, right? So do you want to tiptoe back to your desk, or do you want to march? All right, that was a lot, I told you. So we're gonna do a quick wrap up and then we will be here if you have any other questions. So today we learned that essential support strategies help everybody, whether it's in school, whether it's in adult life. It really helps us be successful in whatever we're doing. So we talked about visual supports, priming, communication, reinforcement, and home base. So if you don't mind just sharing your biggest takeaway in the chat box, I would love to see what you plan on doing after today's webinar. And then our next webinar, and this is part 3 of the new teacher series, it's going to be about collaboration and looking at those collaboration strategies between the teacher and related service providers. So it's Friday, November 10th from 12 to 12:30. So just stay tuned on our Facebook page, or if you signed up for our newsletter, you will get an email with that registration link. And I believe Amanda Clark and Constance Alphonse will be presenting that one. All right, so we have 1 minute to spare. So I have priming in the chat, showing the new teachers how to use priming, visual timers, the video examples, love the priming, perfect. And we do have those strategy guides in the Google folder. So if you want to bring those guides back to the teachers that you're working with, it explains the strategy and step-by-step how to implement it. All right, I love the social autopsy and all the online resources. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We hope this webinar was beneficial to you and the teachers that you work with, and we hope to see you next month at our Lunch and Learn. Have a great weekend.